Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is K-Rod here. I'm back with another um, video here today. I wanted to talk about something boxing related in regards to Miss Beautiful Claressa Shields. Yes, the queen, the GOAT. Um, by far one of the most well-decorated female boxers in our generation today. I wanted to address this particular topic that some people are trying to go around and say that there is a possibility that Claressa Shields could be ducking Savannah Marshall. I wanted to kind of jump in on this because I find this a bit misleading by some people that are trying to run with this comment itself. I do believe that Savannah Marshall, she's a amazing fighter. I have nothing but a lot of, love and respect for her. Do I think she's the type of woman that is how should I say? Is she like the type of woman that could break, Claressa Shields like in a legacy reign and defeat her? I think to my personal viewpoint, I don't think so. I think Claressa Shields, she's gotten so much experience ever since she walked into the professional, boxing scene, and she's done very well for herself as a fighter, where she's been working with like the best top tier, trainers in the game. And I think like everything that she's done for for female boxing, she's only getting better from it. And that's what I personally love out of Claressa, because she's a very talented fighter. At first, I actually doubted her a lot. I don't understand why I did that back then when I was younger, because I didn't think she was that good. I didn't think she was going to be battle tested enough. And granted, she hasn't been put up against like the toughest top tier competition, which I'd say her only toughest fight had been the Hannah Gabriel's fight, and maybe the whatchamacallit fight. I want to say Franchon Cruz. I want to say that fight was like a little bit difficult for her, but then again, Franchon, she admitted that she only had 2 weeks to train for that fight on short notice. So I'll probably take that fight off. I really don't know. Honestly, I think it's just like the Hannah Gabriel's fight, because all the other fights just looked like a boxing clinic for for Claressa, and she did a awesome job just displaying pure boxing talent and just great ring IQ and ring generalship. So I give her a lot of respect for that, because not a lot of women can really keep up with her. And I'm sorry, because I had breakfast earlier, so I wasn't able to talk because I burped. But I do think how she's been matched up against. She's been facing, women that are obviously not on her level, but these are the women that were, at that time at the top of the division. So, I really can't say that she's not that good of a fighter. She is a tremendous fighter. It's just obviously people just want to see her up, with like the better end of the competition. But to be honest, I just think skills wise, she's been getting better every single time she fights. And I'd say like her biggest wins had to been the Hannah Gabriel fight and the Christina Hammer fight. And I want to say maybe the Tori Nelson fight, right? Or Tori Wilson fight. Whatever her name is, but she's definitely earned her stripes. I'm not gonna disregard that, because you have to definitely be a special type of fighter to like dominate people a certain way to make it look easy, because not a lot of females can do that. And I give Claressa nothing but a lot of respect. And I just think skills wise, she has been dominating her division, and I don't think anybody could really beat her. She's just literally a better version of Layla Ali, if not greater than her. And I think she is greater than her, because she obviously does a lot of things that a lot of women can't do, where she can be like the fastest fighter to get whatchamacallit, to get two divisional undisputed, world titles at 160 and 154. So that's a lot of hard work you have to put inside the gym, and I give her a lot of credibility. The only thing I'm only going to criticize her on that I think is fair for me to say is that she just doesn't have knockout power. Which I think that is only just because she's fighting in 10-ounce gloves. Because it seems like she can hit you hard, and it doesn't seem like a lot of women can really like fight back as good as they say that they can. And it just seems like she is the more bigger and more athletically gifted lady. So she definitely knows how to, rough people up on the inside, but on the outside she can easily hard counter and just push you back with like a jab. So I think that's like the great thing about her, and she sparred men in the past, and I don't think any woman like a Savannah Marshall has ever gone that type of distance with, professional male boxers. I'm pretty sure she has, but I just don't think at the level of what Claressa does. She's like a warlord mixed with a empress. Like, it's just two different. It's two different breeds that are being put together, and I think how she's built and how she comes into the game, she does everything right. And I mean, look, I'm a heavyweight, and I've yet to see Claressa spar any heavyweights, but if she can take a punch by a guy like Errol Spence, to whom she sparred, by the way, but never to the highest degree, because Errol Spence, he's not, he's not going to make a statement by trying to drop Claressa Shields and just beat the living crap out of her. No. But she definitely, went a good 50 to 60% with Errol Spence. And, that takes a lot of talent, like you got to have that lion's den mentality. And I personally like that out of Claressa, because that's something very special that a woman has to have to bring to you. And if you compare that to any other sport, Claressa Shields, she's definitely a GOAT in her own making, aka the GOAT. I definitely respect her out of that. She is a lovely woman. I totally underestimated her coming up, because yes, we are the same age, as I'm 26 myself, but it's just that how she's been growing in the professional rankings, she's done awesome. So I personally don't think anybody's really gonna beat her. The only issue that I really criticize her is just that she has like a tendency to trade at times whenever she knows that she could just outbox her opponents. But I think she tries to do that to make a point that she could bang on the inside, and she likes to go for knockouts. But I just think it just shows that she's just not like a knockout artist. She is a boxer puncher. Let's just like let's just keep it clear. Like, she can knock somebody out, but it's just that with women fighting 2-minute rounds and women wearing 10-ounce gloves, the 10-ounce gloves are going to tire out a female's punching power later into the fight. Or if you set it to 3-minute rounds, it probably would make a bigger difference to have girls fight like 1 minute longer, so that way a fight can be determined a lot sooner, to see how a fighter endures with 3 minutes on the clock, if a woman can knock her out or not. So I think I think Claressa, she does have the potential to be a knockout artist, but I just don't think that's really her style. Her style is just basically boxer puncher type of style. She's very fluid, she's very slick, very elusive, and that's what she likes to do. She obviously likes to give you issues and reset, or just have you reset off your combinations, and you really just can't get to her. And I think that's like the beautiful thing about her, because she's just such a great defensive mastermind, gifted fighter, because she obviously can take some good shots, but I don't think she really wants to do that in the first place. She just wants to outbox her opponent, and then if she sees like a big shot that she could take on you, then she'll take advantage of it. And I mean, this woman has been calling out everybody. She calls out Keith Thurman. She called out Jake Paul. Like, everything that she's doing, I don't think Savannah does. And I'm not downing Savannah. I think she's a lovely woman, but for her to say like she's gonna beat her down like Tyson Fury beating on Deontay Wilder, I just don't see that to be a good sell. Not only for one, it's like for one, you're bringing race onto the table, and two, like you're trying to start division, and I think like Savannah, she obviously wants to just do that for like social media attention, but it's like if you want the fight, then just like cut ties with Eddie Hearn and just make the fight on Claressa's end, and maybe if it could be PBC, Fox pay per view, maybe have like a good undercard with welterweights or heavyweights, on that fight card alone. I would definitely pay to see it, and I just think it makes all the sense in the world because Claressa Shields, she deserves, a good chunk of that pie, and I think Savannah, like she deserves it too. The only issue is just that Savannah, she she obviously doesn't have that much opposition her way either, because if we take a look at her opposition, that's if I could load it on my phone. Um, oh man, BoxRec, come on. All right, here we go. So yeah, if I load it onto my phone, if we go to middleweight, I believe it's still there, right? Yeah, Savannah Marshall, she's number one. Dang, she's 30 years old. She don't even look 30. Beautiful lady. But yeah, so Savannah's like last few fights have really been against women that Claressa has already beat. I want to say, yeah, I want to say Maria. She lost to. Did she lose to Claressa? No, I'm thinking about the other lady. Yeah, I don't think Claressa defeated her. But either way, I mean, like Claressa's opponents are, I'd say, almost at the same level with Savannah, and a lot of people want to see this fight, and I want to see it too. I mean, Savannah, she is way taller than Claressa, and she I believe she has longer arms than her, if I'm not mistaken. She has like a 73 or 74-inch arm reach. But yeah, Claressa, she's very good. She I don't think Savannah would be able to keep up with Claressa because Claressa's footwork is levels beyond her. But Savannah, she has a good awkward style that might give Claressa a lot of issues. And granted, she can knock somebody out. She does have punching power. But the problem with this is that she's been knocking out women with losing records, and the only opponent that she wasn't able to knock out, or the only opponents that she wasn't able to knock out, was Sydney LeBlanc and Yanina Orozco. Yeah, that's that Mexican girl. Oh no, she's Argentinian. I'm sorry, but I just don't think I just don't think Savannah would think that she would get the proper advantages over Claressa. I think stylistically, Claressa would have more tools to to overpower Savannah, but it wouldn't surprise me if Savannah catches Claressa with like a mean, flash knockdown or flash punch to get Claressa off guard. But it would be a good fight to watch because I think Savannah is a good fighter, and she can pose a lot of issues to Claressa's style, where she could really make the fight rough, rugged, and I think it would be a beautiful fight for women's boxing to witness. Do I think Claressa is ducking this lady? No, I don't think so. I don't think she has that much competition to fight to make it seem like Claressa is ducking her, because Claressa, she dominated 160. She can do it again if she wants to be the very first and ever woman in women's boxing to have 3 undisputed world titles in 3 different weight divisions. And I think if she really wants to do that, she can easily do that. It's just that she probably chose not to because she struggled to make 160, or she probably just didn't have the interest to stay there, so she wanted to look at other options down the road. But it's not like Claressa really like, like she doesn't need Savannah. That's something that a lot of people don't tend to understand. Like, Claressa doesn't need her. Savannah needs her more than Claressa needs her. But as far as legacy goes, I think it would be good for both of them to get this fight out the way, and then that way it can, it can be said, yeah, it can be all said and done for everything to be taken down. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so Claressa, she. Oh wait, did she get undisputed at middleweight? No, she got the WBA. Oh, okay, and then WBO. Oh, okay, and then she moved back down. I thought she already got undisputed, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, she had the WBA, WBC. Oh, and then she defeated. Okay, then she got the. Oh, okay, then she defeated Christina for, yeah, WBA, IBF. Oh, all right. So she is already undisputed at 160. I'm thinking about 168. I'm sorry. So yeah, what Claressa can do if she, if she really wants to, she can dominate 168. Probably challenge Franchon Cruz if she really wants to for undisputed, and she can easily have that fight pay-per-view because that fight would definitely be built up a lot better for a super fight to be made versus her and Savannah Marshall. So it's not like Savannah Marshall is really like a big fight for her, and good enough that she's getting the exposure that she needs, through MMA. But she should be the one staying in boxing. She shouldn't have to be going to MMA to get to get media exposure and possibly get more money. So as far as just like the whole situation goes, I think Claressa, she will eventually fight Savannah. It's just that, do I think, she's ducking her? No, she's not. I think Savannah's just desperate to fight her, which I don't think so. I just want to think like she's just desperate to want to have that fight happen because she's probably jealous that Claressa's just getting more financial popularity with the exposure that she's getting over the on the media. And for those of you that don't know, like, I think Claressa made like what, $400,000 in her last fight. Not the best payday, but that's almost equivalent to at least like $1 million plus. But yeah, congratulations, I guess. I mean, it's good that women like her are getting a decent payday. But I definitely give her nothing but love and respect, and sadly for Savannah, she only got like what, $12,000 in her last fight, and that's terrible. I wish women got big paydays, just like the men. But like I said, and like I will always keep, yeah, like I said, but shit, like I said before in the past, and as I will always keep to my word, women's boxing will never be better or will never be good as men until it's properly promoted and there's more media exposure to give every woman a chance to fight on TV. Because, out of all the female fighters that I've spoken with, they just tell me it's just all about media exposure. Because if you really think about it, if you have if you have all these ladies, especially from all female weight divisions, fighting each other on these big networks like PBC, DAZN, Top Rank, or any other networks that are willing to give them a shot, or if it was set up that way, like similar to the NBA, where you always see like a female fight like almost every other day, that would help out women's boxing because one, women will have a home to showcase their talents on a platform, and two, it's going to get more females attracted by the casuals that want to see women fight, and three, it will also put them into bigger deals and conjunctions with other bigger fight cards where you'll always see like a female fight every single time there's a big card coming. And I think that's what should always happen, because if you really think about it, why can't Claressa be a co-main event to Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao? That would be awesome. She would, if she got a phone call, by the next day by Al Heyman telling her, hey, look, if you want, we could put you on, on the Errol Spence Manny Pacquiao main event card. We'll make you the co-main event, and we'll give you like, $2 to $3 million facing whoever, whoever you want to defend your undisputed titles against any, ranked opponent. She would take that offer, like, in a heartbeat. And I think, like, if you continue to do that more often, where you put women on good, decent cards, to say the least, where, you match them up with, tough opposition, that's definitely going to make more people, especially from the casual fan, community, to come back to the sport of boxing and watch women fight. Because, the women can fight, just as good as men. But I think women have a more bigger hunger when they fight each other compared to men. Because at least like the ladies, they definitely have like a bigger drive to go in there and do the best that they can do and take advantage of it. So that way they're not, losing out on a big opportunity again. And I think that's really the biggest problem in boxing. It's not being promoted as much compared to other sports because, just take a look at the WNBA. The WNBA, they at least promote their female basketball players to a decent standard, not to a highest standard, but at least at the NBA itself, they do help out the women by giving them those commercials, broadcasting their games, and for a good, portion of the season, they do help them out with, giving them, financial support to, the women that do need help. And I don't see how that's not a problem. I think honestly the sport of boxing should kind of, centralize, in a marketized manner. So that way there's like a NBA, like National Boxing Association, where you have competitive fight leagues, and then you have all the fighters from around the world to go to those organizations and competing agencies to give those fighters a chance to showcase their talents and skills and, compete for that one world title for that organization. And then it can be determined by who is like the best fighter, in the world. Which, I mean, that's just like a work in progress because, I've always kind of been, in the debates with other people about how does a world champion be determined in the sport of boxing. And a lot of people say the sanctioning bodies, but it's like, it doesn't seem like the sanctioning bodies really care, about their fighters. The only sanctioning body that I actually see being consistent with their ranking system and making sure people are represented properly, the right way would be the IBO. And the IBO is like one of like the least popular sanctioning belt, organizations that actually care about, the fighters itself. See, now, I personally believe sanction bodies should be gone, but if you were to ask me of how things should work in boxing, boxing organizations should be created to determine who is like the better fighter. If PBC could have all these fighters fight on one platform in house, why can't PBC have their own fight league just like the UFC? It would be good promotion. It would make sure that other fighters from other networks can come on to PBC. And then it should be like competitive networks going at it with each other. You have the champion of PBC going up against the champion from Top Rank, or the champion from, Matchroom versus the champion from DAZN. I'm just making shit up, but you can see that happen, and I think that could be the future of marketizing, the sport of boxing more. Or it could just be a competitive fight league where everybody from every part of the world competes at a world level, and then you have, several belts that you can go for. You can just call it like the, like the MB, like the NBO belt, the next, like the National Boxing Organization belt #1, or the world title belt, supremacy. Yeah, but the world undisputed title #1 and the world undisputed title, the world super undisputed title. Like, I'm just making shit up, but you get what I'm saying. And then on top of that, I don't think sanctioning fees, should be a thing when you get a world title. That shit should be, off the table. When you shit. When you win a belt in boxing, you should be able to keep that belt with no fees included. It should be your property. You earned it by getting paid to go fight for that title, and that's how fighters should be recognized for it. Not to be, you know, legally robbed by some corrupt sanctioning body and taking advantage of fighters' financial freedom and liberty to not have the, you know, honor of keeping their own successes and their fruits of but the fruits of their own labor, together. But back to the Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall situation. I don't think Claressa's ducking Savannah. I just think Savannah, she's obviously hurting to get a big fight, and I think a fighter like Claressa Shields would be an amazing fight. I personally would like to see it on pay per view if that fight does get made. I think Eddie Hearn, he needs to get his head, he needs to get his head, he needs to get his head straightened up together, and he needs to stop making excuses to not lowball Claressa Shields with crappy offers, because it has been reported, especially from Claressa, to say that Eddie hasn't given her like a good offer to make that fight happen between her and Savannah. So I think until there's like a proper deal made with Savannah and Claressa, I think that fight can easily be made. It's not like Claressa is signed with any promotional. I mean, she is promoted by Dimitri Solita, but as far as like a network goes, she's not protected by any network. She's obviously her own free agent, so she could easily go with any platform to fight on any TV network. So it really doesn't matter what happens as far as like where the fight will be aired on. But Claressa Shields isn't going to take no lowball offer. She wants to get paid really handsomely for the fight itself. So I give her nothing but props, for that, because one, she is the A side coming into this fight, because she does have pay per view numbers now. So even though she may not have probably gotten good pay per view numbers, but good enough that she still has it, so that way it actually gives her leverage in the sport of boxing. See, now that she's in the sport of MMA, a lot of casual decafs would say, well, she's in MMA and she's gonna be doing boxing. How is she gonna, be represented properly in MMA, and how is that gonna help her for boxing to make this fight, doable with Savannah? Wouldn't she have, more time taken away from boxing? Blah blah blah. And I say no, because one, she's active all year round, and two, as much as I don't think it's a good idea for her to like constantly do fights from both sports, I think it would be good for her to at least limit the amount of intensity that she's going through in MMA. So that way she takes a break from MMA, goes right back into boxing, and then she's ready to, get trained up for her next fight. And I think it's like a little bit of like a risk, because the only issue that I have with her doing MMA is that if she does get injured, which I pray that she does not go through that, um I would be a little bit worried for her when she steps back into boxing, because I kind of feel like boxing and MMA are two different animals when it comes to dealing with severity of injury. And I think with Claressa's risk that she's getting into in boxing, it's a bigger, how should I say, it's a bigger draw to get hurt more in the sport of MMA versus the sport of boxing. You have more of a cumulative effect of getting hurt in the sport due to the punches that you receive or the damages you could, receive during the fight. Versus in MMA, anything can happen. Like a woman could just break your leg by just tapping you lightly onto your leg, from like a kick, or if you get punched right to your jawbone, I don't know, because it's like MMA is completely more like physically, how should I say, brutal when it comes to getting hit in that sport. And I hope that Claressa she doesn't get hurt that much from her fights, but it seems like with her being green into MMA, I just don't see how she would be matched up well with some of those girls that she'll end up fighting at the top level. Because even though that she's in PFL, like, if we could really ever visualize a Claressa Shields transitioning from her MMA fights into boxing, that could be risky because one, if she gets hit really bad in one of her MMA fights and then she takes a break, recovers and then she gets into boxing, what if those injuries carry on? That that's something that I'm a little bit worried as a fan and someone that does care about that fighter's health, because I don't want Claressa to just get clipped bad in one of her MMA bouts, and then fast forward into a boxing fight, she doesn't look like the same fighter. I think Claressa, she's awesome in her own rightful respect in boxing, but to me as a fan and as someone that cares about fighters' health, I think she needs to take into consideration that your health is your wealth, and I'm sure Claressa she knows that, but I think for us hardcore boxing fans that do support her, I really do think that she might need to wind down from MMA, maybe fight at least once throughout, a couple times throughout the year. She did say she's only gonna do two fights at a time, so she'll do one fight into MMA, and then I think she says that she'll do two fights in boxing and then she'll do two fights in MMA, which isn't bad. But the problem is that if she does two MMA fights, and let's just say she's going up against killers, she's going up against some women that are built, they're brolic, which I don't think that's a problem. I think Claressa, she can easily beat girls off a stand up, because with her boxing ability, she doesn't need to think about what a woman's going to do to her off a jab. It's just when she's getting hit by those punches, it's like cumulative damage over time, but it's way more brutal because an MMA punch is way different from a boxing punch. And I'm not to say that she's going to get clipped and slept. I just think when she does get hit, it's something beyond the levels of what she will respond to when she gets hit. And I think, like, if we're going to think about a Savannah Marshall fight, do we have to consider her health coming into the fight? Because if she's coming off of a MMA victory or a loss that was hard fought and her body was taxed a lot from that fight, I think it would make all the sense in the world to give herself enough time so that way she could train back up, she could be 100% ready, and then there's no excuses for any decals to say, oh, she wasn't ready for Savannah, but guess what? Come to think about it, she got hurt really bad off to her legs. So if she gets hit with that body shot by Savannah, and then her legs aren't ready to, be ready to handle that, momentum pressure from her, that's something that, the casuals would try to feed off of that to say, oh, you're not that good, blah, blah, blah. See, like, we've always knew that you were a garbage athlete. And I think that's what people, that's what people want to see out of out of any rising, up and coming, athletic star, especially in any sport. But it's like, when it comes to boxing, everyone wants to see you lose. Like, they don't like it when you keep winning, especially from the coincidentalists, if you are from Black Murderers Row. But I think, regardless of racial skin color, if you're the one who sits quiet, you work hard in the gym, and you do everything that the sport requires you to do in order to be great, people still want to crap on you. Take a look at Caleb Plant. Everyone thinks Canelo's just gonna whoop him, but here I am as a boxing fan and someone who analyzes the sport for what it is. I think Caleb Plant has a good chance to dominate Canelo, but I don't think Canelo Alvarez thinks that he's going to get away with, defeating Caleb Plant as easy as he thinks he's going to, as easy as he thinks he's going to beat him. But Little does Canelo know, Caleb Plant is just not your typical like white fighter that ends up quitting, in a boxing match. Like, yes, he hasn't fought, the top tier competition, similar to, I would say, like, how should I say, maybe, like, who else? I don't even know, like, what fighter I'll put Caleb Plant next to, but, if you put him next to any decent super middleweight, he's probably levels above Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders' opponents were not that good, but it was decent to say the least for him to, at least get a couple titles. But Caleb Plant is still a good fighter, and his skill set shows that when he gets put up, get put up against a tough opponent like Canelo, I think stylistically Caleb would give Canelo a lot of issues. But then again, when we talk about Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall, if this fight's going to be at middleweight, it's going to be a very difficult fight for Savannah. But I think Claressa, she'll also have that same issue being pushed against her, because I think Savannah's height and reach advantage that she has over Claressa would give her a lot of issues. Even though the only issue that I have with Savannah is that she's flat-footed at times, because she doesn't have the quickest feet in the world. But I think if she knows how to cut that ring off and give Claressa those big punches, she might have a chance. But if she ends up knocking out Savannah and giving her some major hands where Savannah can't keep up, or she gets outpointed and Claressa wins, then credit to her. As long as it's a good competitive fight that everyone wants to see, I'm all for it. But that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say about the situation between Claressa and Savannah. I think this fight just needs to get made and over with. But obviously, the money has to be right for both sides to agree to the fight. I think Claressa, doesn't really care about this fight, because one, she already has like enough money to sustain herself, in a decent manner. But still, she knows that Savannah Marshall just needs her more than she needs her. But I'd still like to see the fight, because it would help out the sport of female boxing. So that's just how I see it. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm gonna check out. Thank you very much. Bye.